Good evening, everybody. Happy to see you all. I'm Debbie George, one of your 6 Dharma leaders, and I'm happy to be here. And let's see, there's a lot of people here tonight, including on Zoom. Hi, Zoomers. Good to see you. I'm really going to try not to ignore you tonight. Wish me luck. It's not you I'm ignoring. I just have a hard time being here. Well, does anybody want to stretch a little? How about that? How about just let the body. So tonight we're going to really talk about getting the controlling ego mind. Go take a nap. Go rest somewhere. And you're going to find out that it's a easier way to roll. I mean, I hope you will. So, get my things in order. Tonight we continue our exploration of the Four Noble Truths. Some of you were not here the last couple weeks, and some of you are brand new with us, so you may not know that we're in week 3 of a 4-week series on the Four Noble Truths. Thea started us off beautifully with the first truth, that inherent in life is stress, is suffering, is dukkha. The second noble truth Denise shared last week on the cause of suffering is craving, clinging, attachment. Mostly just called craving. And tonight we're going to look at the third truth of the cessation of suffering. How's that sound? Sign up for cessation. I'm signing up. And there is no true synonym for dukkha. Everything's inadequate. So you might hear interchangeably all kinds of, unreliability, unsatisfactoriness. There's lots of words that we can use that kind of are in the realm of dukkha. So I wanted to say that. So the goal is to learn more about how and why we stress, we suffer, so we can reduce it. That's the plan. We always should remember that every time the Buddha taught, he really only taught suffering and its end. That's it. So anytime you hear Dharma talk, sometimes you go, whoa, how does that fit in with that one thing? And over time you will see that it does. So always conceptual knowing of a teaching won't do it, okay? We need direct experience. We need meditation, mindfulness, and concentration to really directly know a teaching, okay? And this is very much the case. So at the time of the Buddha, he used a medical simile to describe the Four Noble Truths. That there's a diagnosis, the illness is dukkha. The diagnosis of the cause, craving. And then the third truth, that there is a cure. And that's good news. And the fourth is the Noble Eightfold Path, which is the medicine. It's the prescription. And you'll be hearing about that next week with Larry. So, by the way, when you hear these teachings, and you hear things like, you suffer because you crave, and you can end suffering by blah, 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 don't really take it personally. You're not doing anything wrong in how you're living your life. You're not making a mistake, you didn't, this is the water we're all swimming in. This is what is the case. And the teachings of the truths are really meant to empower us, to help us realize, oh, so I'm stressed, anxious, I have a lot of negativity, blah, 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 blah. This is the truth of the untrained mind. This is the truth of dukkha in our lives. So I'd like to share, again, this book is invaluable for this teaching, which is the cornerstone teaching, the Four Noble Truths. So Dancing with Life, Philip Moffitt, is on the Four Noble Truths, and each truth has 3 insights. They're all the same. One is to understand, one is to practice with direct experience, and the last one is to know that you know. So the 4 truths have all those 3 kind of methods, okay? To understand, to practice, have direct experience of it, and then to really know it. So there's 12 insights, because 4 times 3. Anyway, I thought that would be a good thing for you to know. But highly recommend Dancing with Life. Let me see, okay? Just think it's important that we understand dukkha a little bit more, especially not to take it personally. So the Buddha proclaimed that suffering is an unavoidable reality of ordinary human existence that is to be known and responded to wisely. While you, like all beings, may try your hardest to experience only the good and avoid the bad, there's simply no way for any of us to escape unpleasant experiences. They are part of the dance, life being true to its own nature. It is vital to your experience of the truths to interpret suffering in the sense that the Buddha originally intended, as an umbrella term whose true purpose is to invite you to reflect on the entire range of negative human emotional reactions. The stress or unease that is dukkha, alienation, despair, uncertainty, lack of control, grief, frustration, fear. We all experience these. Anger, longing, constitutes your mind and the heart's resistance to life being simply as it is. Dukkha can also be understood as the discomfort of inhabiting a body with all its physical vulnerabilities and pain, and it can refer to the unease you experience because you have conscious knowledge of how scary and uncertain life is and the inevitability of death. Sometimes the words unsatisfactory and unreliable are used to describe dukkha, for the way life can let you down when things don't go as you'd hoped and planned. So ordinary, ordinary stuff. He also has some humor. He has how suffering got a bad name. That's the title of one of the chapters. Because having this in our back pocket, knowing that it's not my own lack of creativity with living my life or my own lack of anything. Life is difficult for everyone, and it's difficult for me. And we can train to make it easier. So, we suffer because we crave. We stop craving and suffering ends. Sounds easy. It hasn't been easy though. It's an idea of me that is craving, wanting, desiring, attaching, clinging. We're making everything personal. And this is the teaching of the 5 aggregates of clinging. So honestly, can you guys stay for 3 hours? Uh-oh, I'm in trouble. So I will only touch, but really the third noble truth, the cessation of craving, the cessation of suffering, is about the 5 aggregates of clinging. Because clinging, craving is the cause of suffering, and the 5 aggregates are how we do it, how we experience it, by personalizing 5 things in how we understand ourselves as an individual. So this body came into being because of a sperm and an egg. You got born, it changes. Anything that changes is unsatisfactory, is suffering. It's always changing, and we're always trying to catch up with that. The next is feelings. So we identify with our feelings, but they're always changing. And when we say feelings, sensations. So, and then perceptions. Do we still think the same way we did, see things the same way we did in high school? No. Do you guys? And then mental volitions is the 4th, and that's our stories. That's our mental kind of ideas that we personalize, our views, and then the last is our consciousness that we make. It's unique to me, and it's really awareness. So these are the 5 ways that we claim that we suffer. And like I said, if you don't have 3 hours, that's about how to do that. But so this clinging, what is it that we want? What do we want? You name it. What does the ego want? Name the day, the hour, the minute. Pleasure, to feel good. Comfort, not pain. Physical and emotional. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Nothing wrong with wanting comfort and wanting pleasure. But it's not all there is. It's not the human experience. So we're going to be disappointed, we're going to be stressed, we're going to be anxious, because we're not getting that all the time, because it's not how it is. We crave for the stopping of what we don't want, and this is aversion. So wanting not is the same as wanting. Okay, so greed, aversion, and it's, I wrote, so what don't we want? You name it, from our bedmates snoring to our neighbor's obsession with his blower. We're hot, we're cold, we're hungry or too full. The baby's crying, or a baby on a long play ride is not crying. I mean, this is always stuff arising that we have aversion to, or that we want. And it's all constantly changing. But wait, it's how I want it to be right now, right this moment. But there it goes. Back to dissatisfaction. It's not going to stay the same. Now, when we take out the I want, I need, I don't like, I don't want. Take out the I and me, and out goes the suffering. Every moment we can let go of the idea that we can control, the ego mind wants to think it's in control. We take that out and just go, it's like this. Okay. This moment's like this, everything that arises fades away. Everything. So we can have these little mini enlightenment moments, these little mini cessations. Okay? When we're meditating, every moment that we let go of the thinking mind that wants to be the meditator, doing this and that, every moment we can just say, and let that go. We can have cessation. Every moment that we come back to the breath, let go of the thinking, is a moment of calm, is a moment of cessation. So moment by moment, we start training our minds. So then I have this page on the biggies of what we don't want, but I don't know if we need to talk about it. Oh, we don't want to become ill or suffer the illness of a loved one. We don't want to age and see the signs of aging popping up left and right. I know a little bit about it. We don't want to die. You know what? We don't even want to think about dying. No, thank you. That's for other people. But guess what? It's all in our nature. So fight reality and suffer. That's kind of the game plan that we do without realizing it. We're not realizing it. Personalize and suffer. That's the game plan too. So we don't like, okay, small stuff too, we don't like certain features of our body or personality or whatever. Now, I'm going to give you an example of a Dharma story, and it's the story of Cinderella. We all know the story of Cinderella. It's a Dharma story. You know that? So she did suffering, and she found a way out. So we can relate to that. But who didn't want to be Cinderella? I mean, I'm not the guys, but I wonder how that went for the little black girls. I wonder how that went. Or the big-footed girls. I personally squeezed my feet into smaller shoes for years because I couldn't have those big old things that aren't Cinderella's feet. That wouldn't, you know? So that's delusion. Our delusion are stories of how we want it to be, the story of me, myself, and I. Much of it is not based in reality. Why? We don't see things as they are. We're caught up in our mental volitions, our mental stories, thoughts of how we want it to be. And when it's not that, really, we suffer. We imagine that Cinderella's glass slipper will fit us perfectly, and it really doesn't. And we suffer. Greed, aversion, and delusion are three old friends, the root cause of suffering, because it's the ego that aggravates, the ego mind that wants, that's greedy, hateful, and delusional. So the tools of the Third Noble Truth: accepting things the way they are, acceptance, mindfulness, seeing things clearly as they are. Maybe not what we want, but it does feel better to stop the struggle. So Ajahn Chah, we all quote him a lot, said, you know, letting go a little, you'll have a little more happiness. Letting go a lot more happiness. And letting go completely, you'll have complete happiness. Now, letting go of what? Letting go of personalizing, letting go of this idea that we're in control when we're not, letting go of all the doing that we do, the useless doing that we do because we think we have to get somewhere. You know, it's not our fault. It's delusional. It's not, you know, we're just doing what we've been trained to do. So I wish I could say learning about the Third Noble Truth of cessation is how to live happily ever after. But, you know, it's fantasy. But because this requires effort. I want to share some of the ways, the practices, bringing lots more compassion to your suffering, knowing what you're going through with some mindfulness, bringing lots of compassion, letting go. And I'm going to read a little thing on letting go from Thich Nhat Hanh. Practice with the breath, here and now. Practice with generosity as often as you can. And letting go is a big, big part of all of this. So let's get the wise one on it. I'm just kind of a hack, which I am. I'm just finally learning something, like enough to be dangerous. So letting go. To let go means to let go of something. That something may be an object of our mind, something we've created, like an idea, feeling, desire, or belief. Getting stuck on that idea could bring a lot of unhappiness and anxiety. We'd like to let it go, but how? It's not enough just to want to let it go. We have to recognize it first as being something real. We have to look deeply into its nature and where it has come from, because ideas are born from feelings, emotions, and past experiences, from things we've seen and heard. With the energy of mindfulness and concentration, we can look deeply and discover the roots of the idea, the feeling, the emotion, and the desire. Mindfulness and concentration bring about insight, and insight can help us release the object in our mind. Say you have a notion of happiness, an idea about what will make you happy. That idea has its roots in you and your environment. The idea tells you what conditions you need in order to be happy. You've entertained the idea for 10 or 20 years, and now you realize that your idea of happiness is making you suffer. There may be an element of delusion, anger, or craving in it. These elements are the substance of suffering. On the other hand, you know that you have other kinds of experiences, moments of joy, release, or true love. You recognize these as moments of real happiness. When you've had a moment of real happiness, it becomes easier to release the objects of your craving, because you are developing the insight that these objects will not make you happy. Stopping there. So I'm stopping everything there. Thank you all for listening. Remember to meditate without a meditator, to breathe without the breather, and to walk without the walker, as much as you can. And feel that freedom.